Hey everyone, thank you so much for attending our webinar today. I am so super excited. My name is Chris Banks with Pyramid Analytics, and today's topic is future-proofing your organization, the platform approach to analytics. And I am joined today with Jacqueline Bloman of Senior Analyst of BARC Research. If you're not aware of BARC, you should be checking them out. They have such great content, great insight, especially around data management and business intelligence and analytics and data. So be sure to check them out. Today's agenda, I'm going to kick things off and then I'll pass the ball over to Jacqueline and then we'll open it up for Q&A. Feel free to put your questions in the chat and away we go. So, hey, I wanted to start here before telling you a little bit more about Pyramid Analytics, really about the challenges that we've been seeing with different organizations in different verticals, different industries, different size, from mid-market to enterprise organizations. And if you have any of these challenges inside your organization today, please feel free to contact us because we'd love to chat with you about what our platform can do for you today. But of all these challenges, the big ones that always resonate with folks is, especially when you're talking about a tool approach to business intelligence and analytics, is having 6 different answers to the same question. And you might be using Excel inside your organization as your BI tool today, or you might be using some desktop tool, a self-service tool today. And when you have different folks downloading data inside your organization and then taking those tools and creating some insight from it, it's very common to get different answers. Worse is not trusting your data, because what we've seen a lot is that you might be presenting internally to your C-suite or to an executive saying, oh my gosh, look what we just found. And what we found time and time again is that many organizations, their executives just don't trust the data. And that's the first question that's going to come up. Well, where did you get this data? Well, you know, Jacqueline emailed it to me. Where did Jacqueline get it? I'm not sure. And then all of a sudden that is the challenge in making better decisions and being more productive. In fact, New Vantage Partners did a survey, big data and a executive AI survey, which we'd be more than happy to share with you. 78% of executives did not trust their data. So if you think about the time and effort that you're putting in to build the insights, build the reports, the dashboards, the data visualizations, maybe more, and when they're not trusting the data, then you've lost the plot. The other big one that we're seeing is that BI tools, right? Desktop tools are not a good fit for everybody. And in some cases for non-technical business users, which you probably have a lot of, think about frontline workers that don't have degrees in computer science, but they're trying to be more productive and being a better decision maker and serving whomever that they're serving. They're looking for answers. They're not looking for a tool that they have to learn and wrestle with and try to figure things out. In fact, and I know I'm going to steal a little bit of Jacqueline's thunder with this, but a lot of analysts say BI adoption still remains flat. It's growing at a very, very small pace. In fact, less than 20% according to BARC. I think it's closer to about 15%. But other analysts say the same thing. And the challenge has to do with tools. Know your audience. You want to be able to deliver information into their comfort zone. That is my biggest advice. Make it easy to use, no matter where they fall on that technical capability spectrum. Make it easy to use. And there's a lot of different ways in how to do that and deliver those insights, especially for those non-technical business users. And a BI tool sometimes isn't the answer for that. What we've produced at Pyramid Analytics, and we built it from the ground up just a few years ago, is a decision intelligence platform. And now you're scratching your head thinking, what the heck is that? Well, what we've done is we've combined the very best of data preparation, business analytics, from the simple to the sophisticated, as well as data science, all in one platform. Now I don't need 3 separate tools to get the results I'm looking for to deliver that insight to my business users. And the big thing, it's for all. And I say all, I'm talking about all your employees, all the people inside your organization, maybe the people outside your organization that you're serving, customers, partners, constituents, suppliers, anybody that you want to deliver information out outside the firewall. That's something that we're talking about. I'm talking about all data that you want access to. I'm not saying open up everything and deliver everything to everybody, but I'm saying you shouldn't be restricted or handcuffed in getting access to the data that you want to have access, especially today. And don't be pigeonholed in some hocus pocus proprietary in-memory database that you've got to start moving data into. Direct query is certainly an option today. And that's one of the things I'm going to talk about in a second about us. And then lastly, for all use cases, there's no reason why you need to purchase additional products of software around BI and analytics to get the answers that you're looking for. And that's why with the decision intelligence platform, we're confident with our product that we can meet the needs of all users, all data, and all use cases inside your organization. I want to talk a little bit about our platform, right? Built from the ground up just a few years ago, as I mentioned. Built with JavaScript and React for the front end. What does that mean? That means any browser on any device, you can now access the information that you're looking to access. And then the back end, we built that with Java, as well as Kubernetes for containerization. So if you're looking to deploy in the cloud or access data in the cloud or access data on-prem, a combination of the two, guess what? We can get you that information. But how we get it is the key factor, because we've got the highest performance centric engine in accessing information through direct access. And I'll say it again, high performance direct query, sometimes as high as 10 times faster than our competitors. So that's one of the big differentiators for us here at Pyramid Analytics. So that's the big thing right there. And what we call our engine for that high performance direct query access is Piranha. Don't tell anybody, that's a secret. But it's high performance direct query access, but we're also giving you very rich analytics around that as well. So from the simple to the sophisticated, we want to cover the spectrum of what you're looking to get insight around. Again, all delivered with a platform. But we don't stop there. I mentioned before, right? Know your business users. I'm sure you've got some business analysts, power users that they do want that self-service capabilities in getting the insight, but don't forget about the non-technical business users, which I'll guarantee you, you've got a heck of a lot more than you do for the power user. And that's where you want to meet the needs, and you want to make it easy. Simple and easy, from auto discovery, smart insights, natural language generation, natural language query, chatbots. How simple does that become so that I can actually talk to my data, interact with it by saying, hey, show me sales, by region. Boom. Now I'm getting that answer back. We also have a capability of explaining what I'm looking at, and that's a whole nother conversation that we can have, but we're constantly innovating. We're coming out with different ways of delivering information where some of our competitors got decades old architecture. Again, we built this from the ground up just a few years ago, and this is why our performance and scalability, bar none, is way ahead of the curve. What we also have as part of the platform is around data modeling. So what is that? The semantic layer, so that now I can access the data that I want to access. So you're telling me I've got DB2 data sitting on a mainframe, and I've got SQL Server data sitting on a Windows machine, and I've got Snowflake sitting up in the cloud, and I can build a data model so that my business users can access that wrangling of all three of those? Absolutely. And not only do we do that, this is also the capability of where data science is built into the data model instead of the report, the dashboard, the visualization. So now I can reuse that, right? And leverage that and take advantage of that. And part of the platform is ETL, extract, transform, and load. So now I can access the data that I want. Maybe you do have a need to blend disparate data together and build a data mart or a data warehouse or a data lake and put it someplace to do our analytics on top of that. We've got that capability as well. And there really isn't any data that we cannot access and blend, especially disparate data or complex data that you may have. And then lastly, as part of our stack is extensibility. You might have something today. All my business users love this tool. They love the front end, but boy, we would love to leverage the horsepower of that Piranha engine that you're talking about with direct query access. Is there any way to do that? Absolutely, with OData. We've got that connection available for you as well. And then lastly, component there, we live in a very disparate world, and you're going to find some organizations still have their data on-prem. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's the way it is. And that's what we're doing. Maybe down the road, we want to start migrating data up into the cloud, or maybe we're going to start thinking really big and we want to go with Redshift, or we want to go with Snowflake, and we want to start building these massive data lakes and putting things out there, but I still have some data that's sitting on-prem. How do I get to both of them, right? And that's exactly what we provide the capability of. So whether your data is on-prem and you want to deploy us on-prem, we can do that. If your data is up in the cloud and you want to deploy us up in the cloud, we can do that. If it's a combination of the two, we can do that. We adapt to you. It's as simple as that. So certainly keep that in mind. I mentioned before 10 times the query speed, but we give you the 10 times the value, right? The time and effort needed to build the queries. There's no coding involved. It's a codeless platform. And again, we make it easy to use, and especially to deploy out to the non-technical business users. But also because of the breadth of functionality that we've got, the more things that you can do, more data, more users, more use cases, that's going to increase your return on investment, but it's also going to drive down the TCO, the total cost of ownership. If I don't need to have all these other tools, then why do I have it? The average company today has 4 BI and analytics tools inside their organization that are completely different. And you might fall into that. Maybe you have more. Why? There's no reason to do that. And that's the power of what a platform can provide. And then lastly, as things change, hey, you know what? Got my database. I've been building my content from this, deploying content, got my executives looking at these dashboards. This is great. Oh my gosh, we just added a new column to it. What is the impact that's going to have of all this content that I've got? We've got that built into the product, and we can identify what the impact is and what needs to be corrected, all with drag and drop, point and click. Awesome stuff. So keep that in your head as well. But the big differentiator from Pyramid Analytics standpoint, we are customer obsessed. In fact, I had a call this morning with one of our customers in South Africa, and they look at us as a strategic partner. They don't look at us as a vendor. And that's the way we want to be looked at. And especially in today's world, where we live in a world where many vendors treat you like an invoice. All they want to do is keep reaping the benefits from you. That is not our model, and this rolls right up to our CEO. We are a customer first culture. Perfect recommend score, as you can see displayed there from BARC. We love our customers, they love us, and that's our mantra here at Pyramid Analytics. So I'm joined today by Jacqueline Bloman. She's going to be talking shortly, and this came from BARC, the BARC Score for 2021, and these are some of the strengths that were highlighted around Pyramid Analytics. And just a couple of highlights here: single scalable enterprise grade platform. We do it all, right? One platform to meet all your needs. We've got great connectivity in database analytics. We want to leverage the power of what you've got. So if you're an SAP shop, maybe you're using HANA, maybe you're using SAP BW, there's a lot of business logic, a lot of rules put in place. Why not take advantage of that? I'm not looking to replicate that. And we've got the best SAP integration out in the market, bar none. So if you're an SAP customer, give us a shout. We'd love to talk to you about that. But high performance is the key thing that we're providing. Much more than the classic BI use cases, much more than embedded analytics, much more than just reports and dashboards. We want to meet the needs of the masses inside your organization. So again, depending on your sophistication level, we want to make that easy to use. But the big thing that we're providing on our platform is data governance, right? So I keep saying all data, all people, all use cases, but data governance is an integral part of what we're providing on that as well. So that when I sign in, I'm seeing what I'm supposed to be seeing. And when Jacqueline signs in, she's seeing what she's seeing. Everything is done automatically, and we handle that right down to the role levels inside any of the data sources that you'll be accessing. A couple of use cases. I want to share these real quick with you. One of them is a large retail group called TFG, the Foschini Group. Their challenge was real simple. They had one of the leading self-service tools that are out there, and they hit a wall. They couldn't handle the amount of data that they had. Their daily inventory, I believe it was around 20 million records, and they were failing. They just couldn't handle it. And they did not want to start moving chunks of that into a proprietary in-memory database, because that loses the whole point of what they're trying to do and the insight that they're trying to get. Also, they were growing significantly from mergers and acquisitions, so they started accumulating other data sources as well. SAP BW is certainly one of the ones they had. Oracle, Microsoft, AWS, they were just growing exponentially, and they wanted to get a platform that could meet all the needs of all the stakeholders in the organization, but also give them that single version of the truth. I want to go against this data and build a model around that, and then provide the insight to the organization. And it was time saved. What normally took them days, even weeks, to accumulate information, they were getting within minutes with our technology and delivering that information. Going over to the right-hand side of the screen is the quote from Jan Steenkamp, who is their global head of BI. And it's the last sentence that I want to highlight. It's a universal platform for everyone. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And that's really the value proposition that we're providing with our technology. The other use case I just want to mention briefly, because when you talk about scalability, you want to be able to scale to your ecosystem. That could be 50 users, and that's fine. It might be 10 users. It might be 50,000 users, or even bigger than that. And the most important thing you want to keep in mind, and you want to identify it right from the get-go, is what else may be required for me to scale to my ecosystem, because there's a lot of vendors out there that are going to say, oh yeah, we can scale to your ecosystem. Oh, I didn't mention you need more hardware and you need more memory. And what that does is drives up the total cost of ownership. That is not what we do. And I wanted to share with you some numbers there from the Department of Veteran Affairs, known as the VA here in North America. And they've got as many as 46,000 concurrent users accessing information, not data, information, and getting insight and making them more productive. But at the same token, they've had as many as over 100,000 logons a month. So from a scalability standpoint, not only great performance, but also scaling to your ecosystem. And we work with organizations that are small in the mid-market space. We work with organizations that are big and enterprise players like the Department of the VA. I'm going to pause for a second because I want to pass that baton. I consider her a friend already because we've had several calls together, but I want to introduce Jacqueline Blomin, Senior Analyst at BARC Research. Jacqueline, if you want to share your desktop, I'm going to stop sharing mine right now, and you can put your screen up. And as Jacqueline's doing that, and again, BARC Research is such a key player out in the market. I'm going to shut up now and pass the call to Jacqueline. Thank you, Jacqueline.
Thank you very much, Chris. And thank you also for your great presentation. I think it was very impressive what you told us about your solution. And I think it really connects to the needs of the digital workforce to enable them to actually make the data-driven enterprise become reality and deliver value to the business. And that's exactly what I would like to add a little bit on. And I thought we should talk a little bit about data democracy, because data democracy is actually what we need to put data and analytics exactly in the hands of all, as you very nicely said, of all the employees, of all my customers and partners, to enable them to really help build the data-driven enterprise. So I'll touch on what is data democracy and who does it actually affect. The challenges to establishing a data democracy. I'll share various insights from our research and also from our field experiences, and also to wrap it up, describe what it means to serve the demands of the data citizens. I'll be sharing some insights from various pieces of research. And I just wanted to list them here so I can save the time later on saying exactly which piece of research this is coming from. You'll find it in the footings of the slides. But if you're interested and you'd like to get back to one or to all of these research notes, just go ahead and search for it. They are due to the generosity of various sponsors, including Pyramid Analytics. These studies are available to you for free. So why do we need data democracy, and who does it actually affect? Well, enterprises have, in the meantime, very complex data landscapes that have been built over decades and are becoming extremely difficult to manage, not only to manage, but also actually to use to deliver value to the business. And that's indeed something that we are being told in our surveys, where on one hand, our survey respondents are indicating that information has a high priority in enterprise decision-making. Only 34% state that they are predominantly or purely actually making their decisions purely based on data. So there's a kind of mismatch here between desire and reality. And why should we care? Well, 87% are convinced that their corporate results could be significantly improved if they optimized the way they handled data. So that brings us to the notion of being data-driven. What does that actually mean? It means cultivating a mindset throughout the fabric of the business to continually use data and analytics to make fact-based business decisions. So continually means more than only 34%. And if we actually look at how BI usage is picking up over the years, it's actually pretty frustrating, because over the past 10 years, we started out in 2012 with just over 11% of employees in companies actually using BI and analytic software. And we've just barely reached 15% in 2021. So that is just a difference, a growth rate of not even 4% over the course of 10 years. So something's not really going the way it should. Because data democracy in an organization posits that all employees have the right, the authority, and capability to access, understand, value, and contribute to their organization's information and its utilization. All employees, not just 34% and not just 15%. So 97% of our survey respondents in the data culture survey say they are striving for a data culture, or the other way around, only 3% are saying they are not striving for a data culture in their organization. 97% are. And the positive effects they are actually striving for are rather interesting, I find. The topmost rated effect they're striving for is improved decision-making. Now, I think that's pretty interesting, because we've been trying to improve decision-making for decades, already back in the 80s and 90s with classic BI reports and dashboards, and apparently it isn't working very well. Think of that very slow BI adoption rate. And maybe it has something to do with the fact that if I give someone a report or a dashboard, then it's up to this person if he or she actually use the insight that is visualized there to make a decision. And I can't even really tell if the decision is better because of the information that was provided. So it's a goal that is not measurable. And what's not measurable, of course, I can't manage. Now, if we look further down the list, then there are a lot more aspects of real value that we can deliver based on data. So process improvement, cost reduction, and revenue growth. But I think it's pretty interesting also that the real strategic positive effects you can achieve like competitive advantage or the development of new business models. They are pretty low rated compared to the others, but we can learn from best in class here, because best in class companies, best in class in terms of data and analytics usage, actually strive for these positive effects much more than the average companies out there. But basically, it's all about cost reduction, profit maximization, saving resources by making fewer errors and achieving faster and better results. So that is really a confirmation of what Chris was telling us, what an integrated platform approach such as pyramid analytics can deliver, really can help in delivering value to the business. So let's get back to these little blue boxes and think a little bit about how data and analytics can be utilized to actually achieve these goals. And basically, we see in companies that they're run in a dual business mode, which means they also need a dual mode of data and analytics. On one hand, of course, it's about running the business, using data and analytics to support core business processes, but also the management processes of the business. And here goals are to be lean, to be fast, to be automatic, and not to make any errors, to have a stable, fast business. On the other hand, in terms of creating innovative business ideas and changing the business, I want to use data and analytics to support creative, explorational change processes. Now that defines other requirements to data and analytics as running the business, and it affects different users as well. We have different people in the organization running on the side of, or working on the side of running the business, as the people on the side of changing the business. People running the business feel comfortable in recurring tasks that come over and over and over again, but of course they want to do them as efficient and as effective as possible. People working on changing the business, they want to be able to work in a very agile manner. They have different questions every day. They post a different question tomorrow that defines different requirements to the data and the analytics they do than they had today. So those are the things I want to support in a data democracy. Now, what are the challenges to actually establishing that? Well, frequently, data democracy is kind of equaled to self-service analytics for business users. Now, is that really what we're talking about? Well, self-service analytics for business users is mostly defined in terms of delivering reports, dashboards, and classic analytics to consumers and to power users so they can use it in the self-service fashion. But it actually goes beyond that. I also need, for the business analyst who is working on changing the business, other kinds of analytics like data discovery, advanced analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. And often enough, while the consumer and the power user are using standardized data assets of the enterprise to answer their questions, a business analyst will more frequently need new data sources to actually answer his questions. And at the same time, we have more and more process owners, process experts in running the operational business that need embedded and real-time analytics to make real-time decisions, or even to get help on automating some parts of the decision process. So very different aspects. Now, if we look at the BARC trend monitor that we do every year, and I'll pass on to the next slide because I think it's easier to read, just picking out the top 10 trends, we can see that back in 2018, data discovery was rated the second most important trend, and self-service analytics was the third most important. Data preparation by business users, also part of self-service analytics, was rated as the fifth most important trend. And if we just look at how these trends have developed over the past 5 years, we can see that actually, even though self-service analytics, data discovery, and data prep are being discussed so intensively, they aren't rated as highly as they were in 2018. Now, why is this the fact? Oops, I'm sorry. Skipped one. We asked different groups of users if they think that enabling more self-service is an important measure to improving the handling of data. And whereas 54% of business analysts said, yes, that is indeed an important measure, actually only 36% of power users believe this is an important measure. In fact, in many interviews that we do with business analysts and power users, we hear again and again that self-service is really frequently felt rather as a burden rather than an opportunity. And that's because it's too difficult. And because power users struggle, even though they need actually standardized data, they don't find the standardized data that they need in one place. And so they have to go around mixing and matching it every time they have to recurringly compile the same report. So that's certainly a burden and not an opportunity, because it doesn't help them become efficient and effective. So let's get back to the picture of the different data producers and consumers. We spoke about the different facets of analytics, the different types, and the different use cases. But what about data? Well, we've been having an ongoing debate on data architecture and data silos for decades. We started out with the data warehouse concept in the late 80s. Then the concept of the data lake arose because it was found that the data warehouse wasn't flexible enough and couldn't cover new arising data needs. So the concept of the data lake came to play, and everyone thought the data warehouse was dead. But then we all of a sudden realized the data lake is fine for some cases, but the data warehouse still remains important for others, which is why since the late 2010s, the data lakehouse concept is now actually the most frequently discussed concept. But they all three have one thing in common. All these concepts physically extract data from the source, copy it to one physical place, collect it there, and compile it for further analytics use there. And what we're basically trying to do is we're trying to overcome our source silos by building additional silos. And that's a concept that is more and more coming to its limits because our data is becoming much more distributed from day to day. And in fact, our survey respondents tell us that despite our data warehouse, the amount of data silos has not yet been significantly reduced. 63% strongly or mostly agree. And I would actually add on that it's not only the fact that the amount of data silos has not been reduced, but actually the number of data silos is continuously growing because that's in the nature of the digital business. The digital business is distributed. The digital workforce is distributed. So we will not be able to do away with data silos in the future, but we rather have to find a way to deal with them in a different way than we've been doing that in the past couple of years. So let's look at the main challenges caused by the current landscape. We have key personas are tied up with elementary data problems instead of working on the digital future of the company. They're not efficient enough. They have to work too hard to do the job they have to do. There's no transparency and understanding of data across the organization because we still have so many silos, and I don't have any possibility of gaining an overview of everything there. Cross-divisional collaboration and exchange of data is difficult. Individual silos are not sufficient to answer my questions. And the maintenance of existing silos is inefficient and ineffective. Working with our data silos is particularly time-consuming. What are the challenges for analytics creators when they build new analytics assets? I think it's interesting to see that these are the top 6. I think it's interesting to see that there's a big difference between the top 3 and the following 3. The top 3 that actually aren't around the analytics itself, but about the data. And it seems it's not so much of an issue that people can't reuse what others built, not because it's not an issue. My best guess would be because they don't even get that far. They're still struggling finding the right data to use. And they're not even so far to look at what others have already built and is that useful for me? And it's actually only at the 6th most frequently named issue that dashboard and visualization tools do not meet our requirements. Now, my interpretation is in terms of functional analytics features. But as we all know, the data and analytics process is a lot more than just analytics functions. What are the most significant challenges when sharing and reusing analytics? So we said we want to provide everyone in the enterprise with the opportunity of participating in data and analytics. So I want to share what I create and reuse it so that we're efficient. Well, the first point named here is we do not know which analytics assets have been created by other teams, most frequently fueled by the fact that different teams are using different silos, not only different data silos, but also different tool silos. So how do we better serve the demands of data citizens? Let's get back to this picture. So we're seeing that, as I mentioned before, we have the growing challenge of a more and more distributed data landscape in the enterprise. Data can be on-prem, can be in multi or hybrid cloud architectures. I can have data in the edge. I can have IoT data that pops up all over the place, and I can have certain data architecture concepts that go beyond data lakehouse, such as data hub and data archive. But it's not only the data side of things, it's also the notion of working together, of sharing and collaborating based on data and analytics assets that have already been created in the enterprise. That means that we have to have a common data understanding. We have to bridge existing physical data silos, because we will not succeed in completely getting rid of them, never at all. And we need a common view on these data and analytics assets so that we can work together based on these. And lastly, we need augmentation to make working with the technology easier, and automation to make the data and analytics process faster, to help the data producers and consumers do their job faster, in less time, and with less errors. We also asked companies which approaches they are taking to deal with these challenges. Well, they're taking approaches to share knowledge of data and foster collaboration, creating a central platform for data shopping, creating a platform for collaboration and for knowledge exchange, and allowing more liberal data access and self-service, and creating a central directory of data sources. So it's an awful lot about integration, building more data silos to overcome existing data silos doesn't work. So this integration that I need will have to be on a logical level, and a centralized and integrated logical access point to data definitely beats physical centralization of data, because it's a goal I can never fully achieve. And what are companies doing to support these needs? Very interesting, I find, because 80% of the companies we asked are already using an integrated data and analytics product to support these needs, or they plan to use such a product in the future. And only 5% believe they do not need such a product at all. And what benefits so we asked those that already have a product like that, which benefits they actually achieve by using this product. And it's all about better usability, higher efficiency, increased effectiveness, better scalability, quicker time to insight, and a higher quality of results. So to tie back on the requirements we identified in the beginning, it's all about cost reduction, profit maximization, saving resources, and especially fewer errors, faster, and better results. So I'd like to wrap that up. We spoke about data democracy in an organization, in that it affects all employees, although in different ways. Major challenges are the growing complexity of the data landscape on one hand, the enablement of data and analytics for everyone on the other. A centralized and integrated logical access point to data that serves widespread analytics needs beats physical centralization of data and siloed self-service approaches. Thank you very much. I'm very much looking forward to your questions and chatting a little bit more with you together with Chris. Thank you.
Jacqueline, that was awesome. Just awesome. I mean, I was taking notes, so I sincerely mean that. I've gotten this, that was great. You know, and I think you would agree, and your messaging, wow, is so spot on, but it all starts with data, right? You can get all the tools and products and stuff that you want, but if you've got these data silos propagated throughout your organization, that's just going to be a problem for you. And then you want to go beyond that and go to the next step. So that was awesome. Just great.
Thank you.
Let me share my screen. And I hope I do this right. Yay. We're going to open up for Q&A shortly, guys. Couple of slides that I just want to add, just to wrap up, and everything that Jacqueline was talking about. I was smiling too, because I'm like, oh my gosh, our messaging is right in line with what we do. Again, it's all about all, right? So we're talking about all people, both inside and outside your firewall. There is no reason why today, especially today, with everything that's going on in the world, you need to be more productive, better decision makers, get information into the hands of everybody. And the technology is there, and this is what the power of a platform does. But always keep in mind, know your business users and understand their sophistication level, because not everybody's comfortable using a self-service tool. And there are so many options available with the power of a platform. All data, and I think that so resonated with what Jacqueline was talking about with all the silos that's out there. There's no reason today, especially with some of the more complex data lake houses that are available, the Snowflakes, the Redshifts of the world, why you can't access that directly. And that's one of the things that we do uniquely with high performance, high scalability, but we can blend any data together at the data modeling layer and then reusability and take advantage of that. And then in addition to that, that's where the data science is with us. So you don't need to hire a data scientist. We've got the algorithms there, and it's all codeless, and we're going to bring it into the data model. And then from a reusability standpoint, off you go in your merry way. And then lastly, all use cases, right? Everybody has plenty of different needs. Some people want a simple report. Some people want to see something in the dashboard. You might have a C-level folk that wants a dashboard for no other reason because he wants one. But the power of why is really what is so compelling. What is good? Why is so much better? Sales are at $20 million. Why? And is it because of one deal that we closed for $18 million, or is it because it's spread out across all of our regions and across the world? But give me the insight in an easy to use way to work with my data. And that's really what you want to keep in mind. Anyway, enough about me yapping. If that wasn't enough to get you excited about Pyramid Analytics, we do have a next step for you, and that's a demo with your data. If you want to share with us data from your organization, we would be more than happy to provide to you or a team of you inside your organization a demonstration of the power of what our platform can do with your data. And it's no cost, no kidding. And if you want to take us up on that, just drop us a line inside the chat or follow up on our website, pyramidanalytics.com. You can check all that out. I want to open it up for questions. And I'm seeing the chat right now. I've got one here for Jacqueline, so I hope somebody asks me a question. But Jacqueline, here's your first question. Why do so many analysts rank self-service BI tools so high when adoption seems to still be very low?
I think we have to look back a little bit and realize we're on an evolutionary path here, because I started using BI the end of the 80s, beginning of the 90s, and at that time it was something that was definitely very strongly in the hands of IT. And so over the years, the business realized that this doesn't work well for them because IT is becoming a bottleneck, and sometimes they don't fully understand what the business needs. So it seemed to be a great thing to put self-service BI tools in the hands of the business. And that's certainly true, but it also has its limits, as we spoke about before, because these tools are very often siloed. They often required their own siloed data. So you're running into limitations again. And the first steps are faster, which is good, but then you reach limitations again. And that's why we also see, after those years of self-service BI being ranked as so important, as I spoke about, that enterprises are going back to a more centralized approach what the platform is concerned, and at the same time trying to maintain flexibility in data usage, which is very important.
You know, you got me all excited when you talked about the 80s, because I was a COBOL programmer, green screen, no less. And then I was so excited when I went from a Deck Writer 3, I don't know if you remember those, where you would type out 100 lines of code going back and forth on a dot matrix printer, and then getting a CRT terminal, right? And just being able to edit my code online. So I've seen the fruition as well, going from something as simple as just vanilla reports to dashboards to where we are today. And I agree with you on your synopsis with that. Jacqueline, here's another question for you. What is a good first step to increase my analytics adoption?
Yeah, I think that's a very important one because, seeing all the challenges we're facing, it is indeed very important to find the right starting point, because what you want to do is deliver value, deliver support to the business as fast as possible, even though you know that the problem you have to solve is immensely large. And I think from what we're hearing, especially from the field, I think this issue of transparency is so important. Bringing transparency to the users, regardless of how messy the real world is. It's important to make them aware that it's messy and not hide that from them. So give them the opportunity to see what's available, which assets are available in the enterprise, which data sources are available, which people I can ask to chat about that, to ask questions, and what reports and dashboards are out there so that maybe I can reuse them. And therefore, of course, I need a central point of access, and I have to fill that with life. So, and roll that out to users so they will all realize what the current state is. And that is the most important step, to become aware of the current state and what are really the most pressing issues, where I have to improve things and who I have to work closer with, etc.
Awesome. Great answer. I've got another one for you here. And I love how it starts off. First of all, that was very insightful. That's good. I want to know more about how to manage expectations with time to deliver insight, as it always meant to be yesterday, and data literacy of end consumers or subjects. I think it's SMT or C-level, and even product managers, owners, as without proper data literacy, self-service doesn't help. Thank you. So I guess the question has to do with time to insight, how to deliver that even quicker than ever before, even with data literacy being a challenge inside an organization. Any thoughts on that?
It's really a very good question. And I think it's a question that still today many organizations are struggling with, because on one hand, you need change and you have to take measures to improve the situation, be that improve data and analytics literacy, be that improve your architecture and your overall tool set, but also, of course, in making executives aware that you have to do some investments. And then, of course, you also have to make clear, or you have to be clear yourself, which are the highest prioritized issues you should address at first. And that's kind of like you have to, on one hand, work on dedicated, I'll call them lighthouse projects, to make the value clear that is in data and analytics if things work. But you also have to make aware, and I think that's one of the things companies are struggling the most with, that a lot of things are not working that well and actually need improvement, because that's a message that executives, of course, don't like to hear. And so, yes, it is very difficult, and it's something you can't do from today to tomorrow, but it's something you have to constantly work on over time, and focus your efforts, of course, on delivering value as soon as possible to the people that actually have pains, and at the same time trying to make transparent to the management level what needs to be changed, what needs to evolve over time, and which value is actually in there for the business and for the business goals that the C-level has.
Excellent, excellent. There's a question for me. How much coding is required for data science with your platform? Which is a great question. And one of the things that we provide is a codeless platform. So, and again, as I mentioned with data science, what we've done is we incorporate that at the data model layers from a reusability standpoint, that you can take advantage of that and then use that same model for other different use cases. So if it was sales data, or if I'm looking at, I recently spoke at a credit union conference and I wanted to see What's the likelihood of somebody defaulting on a loan, but have that available for other use cases inside the credit union? That's where we can do that. So no coding, believe it or not, which is awesome. Jacqueline, here's another one for you. My company only uses Excel today, most popular analytical tool in the market, right? And we spend so much time retrieving data and wrestling with data than we do with analyzing the data. Any suggestions?
I think that a lot of companies are dreaming to do away with Excel, and at the same time, they're all dreaming to keep it. So it's a kind of unsolvable issue. I think that you'll never be able to do away with office tools. They have a good, it's good to use them for certain things, but it's of course also bad to use them for other things. And wrestling with data is certainly one of the worst things to do in Excel because it's just too error prone. Now, I think the best way to make people aware that this isn't the right way to go is actually making them aware of what's going wrong. So where do the errors arise? And I'm sure it's not very difficult to do that. But I think the other part of it is actually offering them an alternative that works for them, that gives them the flexibility they need, and at the same time, a better support in doing what they have to do. And I think sometimes IT departments aren't that good in doing that because they might be afraid to give certain tools to business users, and with them, giving them the freedom to do certain things. But I mean, thinking about data democratization, that's the wrong way of thinking. And we've heard from some best in class companies that they're saying, oh, I didn't want to give these smart tools out to my business users because I thought they wouldn't make good use of it. They'll just make a mess of it. But actually, exactly the opposite is happening. And people are talking to each other. They're speaking about how to do things better. And can I do this another way around? And can you help me? And all of a sudden, business and IT are growing closer together. And IT is really becoming an advisor of the business. And this is really great. And like I said, I've heard data and analytics experts in IT really becoming excited about exactly opening up the usage of data and analytics to business users. And once they experience what they can do with better tools, they'll realize where the value of Excel is and where it's well used and where it's not.
Spot on. And I always see as well change, right? Change is so difficult for organizations. I can talk a lifetime about all this stuff, but people that get in their comfort zone and Excel, there is nothing wrong about Excel, and you'll find a lot of finance departments, that's their comfort zone. But when you can show them that there's additional insight available for you in an easier to use way, it's hard, right? Because people don't want to change. They're already set in their ways about doing things the way that they do it. So it's always that whole data-driven culture sometimes becomes more of a mess than people think because of change management.
Absolutely.
We are about out of time. There are a couple of questions. We will get back to you folks for any question that we didn't answer. I want to thank Jacqueline Bloman from BARC Research. You are awesome. I thought the insight that you shared was invaluable. And thank you for your time today. I know you're very busy, and it was very much appreciated. And certainly, folks, if anybody's interested in about more information, whether it's about BARC Research, who I think is one of the best players that is out there out in the industry, or about Pyramid Analytics, feel free to go either one of our websites. You can get our information, but we will be following up with you with the presentations as well. So stay tuned for that. Thank you, everybody. It is much appreciated, and have a great day and a great holiday season.
Thank you very, very much, Chris. And thank you for all attending, for being there and listening. Have a great day.